Championship in England, and such excitement everywhere as we welcome you to the opening fixture for two historic football clubs, Stoke City and Derby County, set to meet once more in the Bet365 Stadium. And it'll be a case today of nice to see you again, perhaps unexpectedly so, given the events at the end of last season for these two sets of players. The story of last season built around the battle for survival at this level by both of Stoke and Derby, but now both hope for something slightly better. So a very warm welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Of course, it is still all too fresh in the memory for Stoke and Derby. Then they met at Pride Park with their fate in the balance and hopes of retaining championship status hanging by a thread. But it's all to start again now in 25-26 here at the Bet365 Stadium. Stoke City and Derby County paired on the opening day of the new season. Last time round, harsh lessons learned. Most notably, they know, both sets of fans, that they cut it way too fine. They did get away with it thanks to a 0-0 draw. So a championship matchup once more between these two very historic football clubs. But I'm not sure many really could have believed or envisaged that the reunion would come quite so quickly. These two clubs, founder members of the Football League in the late 1880s. Of course, very proudly the oldest league in the world, the first and the model for everything that has come since. And this is always a special day. The 109th Football League season for Stoke City. And in terms of their history, Stoke shading it over Derby, I guess. The former founded in 1863, Derby 21 years later in 1884. But on either side, an immense amount of pride and history. No wonder Derby's home ground bears its name so proudly. But here we are in a ground where Stoke City really do possess something a little bit special. More than 29,000 packed in last season on Good Friday for the game against Sheffield Wednesday. The lowest attendance here last season, just under 20,000, but so important today for Stoke City fans that they ensure that at the end of this they're very much on side with their team. A testing few years recently for both. Stoke, since dropping out of the Premier League in 2017-18, never higher than 14th in the Championship. Three managers last season. Derby, who returned to Championship level last season, surviving by just a point. They changed their manager during a horrible midwinter spell when they lost 14 out of 19 league games. They had all kinds of injury problems to contend with. And that still does cast a little bit of a shadow as they prepare to get underway again. But very likely they wouldn't even be a part of this championship opening weekend, but for a run of 4 wins in a row in March into April and 2 wins and a draw in the last 3 games. It was that tight. The appeal everywhere here from Stoke City is to have their fans fully behind the team. I guess from Derby's point of view, good-looking run of results in pre-season. Not that that can mean very much very often, but the players that remain, most certainly led by their captain, Adams, but the players who were around him last season set to go again, maybe a little wiser in the ways of this unrelenting and very demanding league. A League Cup tie midweek for both of these two. Stoke City once the winners of that trophy, of course, but every league point and therefore every league game carries most weight for these two as they seek to prove potential promotion candidates this time round rather than relegation material once more. a more optimistic mood around him. Perhaps as the players of Derby County and Stoke City take to the field, not quite the foreboding that surrounded the meeting at the end of last season. A 0-0 draw then was enough for both. Elliot Bell is the referee. Stoke City and their most noteworthy signing of a summer programme, Stephen Nzonzi, who played such a huge part in a more successful era. He is back here but not deemed ready to start today. They do give debuts to Aaron Cresswell after a long top-flight career, Sorba Thomas, who spent last season at Nantes in France, and Divine Mbamba after his spell at West Ham. Ashley Phillips, Jamie Donnelly and Robert Bojenik, incidentally. 3 more of their signings are on the bench. And here's the Derby starting lineup today. A debut for Danny Bath, who arrived from Blackburn. John Eustace knows him well, and he knows this league very well, of course, as does Carlton Morris, who made an immense contribution at Luton. He at least retains his championship status, starting for Derby alongside Caden Jackson, an ever-present last season. Dion Sanderson, incidentally, signed only this week. Another reunited with Eustace is among the substitutes, with Bobby Clark and Andreas Weimann. So Morris set to put his shoulder to the wheel, this time in the service of Derby County. He gave everything at Luton, and it was not quite enough, but the level of his contribution ensured that he was a very attractive acquisition, I'm sure, for Derby and other clubs. The breeze is up, as it tends to be. Cresswell is no stranger to life at this level, let's be clear. Ipswich Town and Tranmere Rovers. And he arrived smiling broadly, happy to be a part of this Stoke City story. But will it be a story of success? Recent success for Stoke City in this fixture hasn't been very forthcoming. They've won just 2 of the last 9 league games against Derby. They started last season with a 1-0 win over Mark Robbins, actually, as we point him out pre-game. Robbins then of Coventry City. Stoke did beat Derby here in November. That came doing a very good run, 1 defeat in 10, but by late November the mood was different indeed, and it's all about setting the mood for the season ahead as Stoke City and Derby County get 25-26 underway here in the EFL Championship at the Bet365 Stadium. And a very good way to start by Cresswell there. Not that there would be many first day nerves, I should think, for him. Victor Johansson is the home goalkeeper. It's his 2nd season. And John Eustace, appointed in mid-February, who at first glance swapped a potential promotion bid at Blackburn for a club here that he believes has the greater potential long-term, and no wonder, given Derby County's history. An instructive first day back in the Championship for Wrexham. Earlier today, after that great run of success, the promotions 3 years in a row. Of course, that has echoes to any Derby County fan of what Derby achieved long, long ago now. Their run to the top of the game in the 1970s under the immortal Brian Clough. They actually won what was then the First Division, Premier League level nowadays. They won it in 71, 72, and again 2 seasons later. That's a decent looking ball and a very tame end product really, and a very comfortable save for Zetterstrom. There was more in there surely for Bai Jun-ho. Nothing wrong with the ball played in his direction. But Manoff had the time to just have a little look here. They stood off in Derby. They may have paid a higher price for that. And indeed, the run by Bai in between the centre-backs promised plenty for Stoke there. Centre-back pairing today to start the season for Mark Robbins and Stoke. Ben Wilmot and Bosun Lawal. Lawal hardly played from the start last season at all. I think I'm right in saying only the last game of last season. Junior Chomadeo is the right back. 21-year-old, and a very strong season for him last season. 41 appearances. What a career Craig Forsyth has had for Derby County, and he continues into a 14th season. Not much doubt about that. It's a handball. Adams trying to make his presence felt. The Derby skipper, player of the year actually, last season, Ebu Adams. Sorba Thomas, that's a confident ball into the feet of Mamba. Marty Clark concedes the free kick. Clark, who returned to Derby in their hour of need last season in January, and by all accounts Derby fans everywhere very grateful that he did so. Him, Langus and Phillips, a back three which helped put backbone back into Derby County when they're in dire trouble following that appalling run. 14 defeats in 19 games. Clark didn't panic. The breeze, as so often here, he's probably witnessed it and encountered it before, but it does make life uncomfortable for visiting defenders. It's a terrific ball over the top, this time to Thomas. On the target, not the power, but it's a powerful start to this game from the home side. Very much what the home fans were looking for today. First touch wasn't bad. Zetterstrom has been busy early on. Maybe as a goalkeeper he'd prefer that at the start of the new season. And he's got to be sharp enough there as well. Mbamba was certainly sharp. Relishing the chance to get playing every week, no doubt. Mbamba could not do that during his loan spell at West Ham. Little trip on Bay. Stoke City very sprightly indeed here. Chomadeo. Million Manhoef. right under the gaze of Mark Robins there, the Stoke City boss. Might be trying to have a word in his ear to keep him at full throttle. Down the other side it's Thomas, maybe not as quick, but he's got a decent touch, as he's seen already, and he starts here full of confidence. He was at Nantes in France last season, and it was a season-long struggle for survival in the top flight in Liga. Had some good moments, and some promising moments here in the first 10 minutes for Stoke City today. Maybe not quite the force in recent years that they used to be, Stoke City. Thinking back to the Tony Pulis era from set pieces, by creeping around the back. I'm sure Robins would like them to become that kind of a machine again. Keeping the pace high, maybe rushed that a little bit. Manhoff, not sure he was ready for that. But in terms of being ready for the start of the season, he and one or two of the others, especially up front for Stoke, look more than ready. The third manager of last season, Mark Robins. A torrid season, of course. Steve Schumacher left in September. Narkis Pelash went from hero to zero, I'm afraid. Just judged on results. Terrific run, and then they lost their way completely. Mark Robins appointed on New Year's Day, and it wasn't a quick fix for Stoke by any means. But March to mid-April made all the difference. 4 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat. And the way they've started this game today, very mindful of that, I will have to say. Thomas has won this free kick. The experience of Clark, Bath, Forsyth particularly might be important in this phase of the game for Derby. One or two of the others don't quite look so assured, conceding these corners and free kicks early on. Just finding the pace a little bit hot, one or two of these Derby players. One-off left it. Cresswell, of course, who does bring with him not only all his experience, but all the know-how from free kicks, decided to try to make himself an instant hero. Many a fine free kick we've seen from him over the years, but that, a little bit of a miscue. Manhoff started it, Thomas stopped it, Cresswell tried to hit it. Comfortable again for Johansson, who certainly will be comforted by the fact he can give it out there to the left side to Cresswell any time. And here's Bosun Lawal. He's a very powerful athlete, that young man. And a big vote of confidence today from Robins in him. Is a good pass out to Thomas. Stoke playing to a plan and playing the plan pretty well and forcing another corner here. Taking on Nyambe on the outside. Obama read his intentions and was going for that cross, and Bath slid it away. Now it was by Jun Ho trying to creep in around the back last time. He's actually outside the penalty box as Thomas takes it. It's a different routine. They went to the near post. No holds barred on the field or just off it in that case, but I'm sure Adams is used to that kind of thing. Derby still seeking a foothold in this game, hardly venturing forth in the first 10-12 minutes. On by Pearson. Million Manhoef. Manhoef got 7 goals last season, a fairly healthy return in a struggling side. And of course, in the preceding season he made a really big contribution. He cannot get on the end of that one though. Baker tried to thread it back through to him. Nice idea from Lewis Baker. It's a reset very often on a day like this for so many players, and Lewis Baker a case in point, and John Eustace would testify to that, remembering that Baker was on loan at Blackburn last season and then recalled. Eustace himself, a man who played for both of these clubs, actually. Stoke in 2 spells, and also Derby. The John Eustace Derby today. Knocked out a play by Forsyth. Manhoef hasn't ventured into the sunlight before now today, sticking very rigidly to the right side of the park under the watchful gaze of Robbins. Stoke dominating the ball, dominating the game in lots of ways at the moment, looking to be more confident perhaps in their pattern of play. There's a lot of players, incidentally, from Derby's point of view, new signings not involved today. It may take a little bit longer for John Eustace really to have the side that he wants on the field. Players coming back in many cases after a terrible year in terms of injuries for the club. I made it 9 serious injuries at Derby County last season, and it seemed that many of them were hamstring related. Here's Pearson, a Stoke player who actually missed a long spell with a serious injury and returned in February to add his own particular style of hard-working, hard-biting midfield play. Not the best disciplinary record in the world, I must say also. Maybe he'll prove us wrong this season. Manhoef down the line. Jamadeu joins in. Of course, the likes of Forsyth have seen all this so often, probably knowing what Derby were in for. Away to Stoke on the opening day after all the hard work of pre-season. Players desperately keen to make a big impact. Morris on his debut. Not making much impact so far for Derby, but of course he's a player who's been around a long time, and he will have also seen this kind of thing before. Lewis Baker takes it for Stoke. Goalkeeper not tempted to come off his line. He had to make the save, but the whistle had gone. Hard to hear it here, actually. Among this raucous din. The breeze does make it a little bit more difficult. And just a case in point there, watching closely, Matty Clark backpedaling for all he was worth, the centre-back, and then he sees the ball sailing right over his head. Times may have changed. The fortunes of Stoke City largely ebbing in recent years, but that tradition that it's hard to play here, especially with the crowd behind them, that remains intact. Cresswell. Down the line nicely. By. Might have crossed it. Derby don't push out very far. Thomas pushes, goes. Really testing out Nyambe early on. Perhaps the cross did need to come a little bit more quickly. It's cleared by Clark, but Morris gave only a token chase on that, and there was no other Derby player remotely near that. Derby penned in again. What a ball that is to Manhoef. Can he get it down under control? He does do so. Bit too keen to have a pop himself, perhaps. Pearson's there. I mentioned his aggression, but he came off second worst that time. It was a good win in the middle of the park by Adams, and Derby needed it. There was also a little collision there with Morris, I think. Morris is a tough guy. He'll shrug it off. Wilmot. Cresswell. Pearson. Lawal. Almost for Manhoef. I think the moment that every Stoke City fan fell in love with him was toward the end of 23-24. He'd only signed in February, of course, and Stoke backs were to the wall. He came up with big goals against Plymouth and West Bromwich Albion, 2 on the final day against Bristol City. That helped Stoke to a 17th place finish, 1 better than they managed last season. But Stoke, since returning to this level from the Premier League in 2018, no higher than 14th at the end of any season. Corey Blackett-Taylor. First 2 or 3 touches for him. Fingertips in the touch from Johansson. Might have drifted out anyway. But he wasn't to know for sure. Blackett-Taylor hoping to step it up from what he was able to achieve last season. 1 goal in 13 appearances. Caden Jackson is closest to Johansson. Derby setting up for their first corner. 20 minutes on the clock. They've survived that 20 minutes. Manhoef looking for Thomas, not quite. Pearson on guard duty there, got out there quickly, got his challenge in really well. That is him all over. And the crowd like that in him. Wilmot to Lawal. Oh, he took it well. Manhoef coming off the flank, so Bay's got to use that space himself, which he does do, but he had to try to give it back to Manhoef. That's where it broke down. But what can Derby construct? There's been little in the way of that constructive play so far, and I'm afraid that's the latest example of it. And have a look at that possession stat now. We're down to 22% for Derby. Can become a long, hard afternoon chasing the ball so much. Chamadeu finds Manhoef. Chamadeu. Pearson doesn't get to that one. Now the possibility of a counter-attack for Derby. Trying to drive Stoke back, but Lowell is big and strong, as I mentioned. That was easy work for him. Against Blackett-Taylor. Player of considerable promise. And they hope that this is the moment in his career he'll start to deliver on that. And a bit like Wilmot, of course, can play in a midfield role. The two centre-backs for Stoke have got that in their game. Starting centre-backs today, that is. Thomas. Bay. Baker. Going to be hot competition in those midfield areas once Stephen Nzonzi is fit. Manhoef's cross. Mbamba going for the spectacular. Might have been a touch off a Derby defender, I think. I mentioned all the experience that Danny Buff has brought with him to Derby County, and it's coming in pretty handy the way this game has started today. One of Derby's 11 new signings so far. Cresswell. Pearson. Chamadeu left the space for Manhoef. Stoke appeal again for a corner. And they've got yet another one. Clark sliding across the ground. Manhoef. Going to drift wide. Lawal trying to steer it on the target. Not far away. And for all their know-how, those Derby County defenders are not winning many of those balls in the air at the moment. Sederson tries a longer one, but it's going to stall in the air with this breeze behind Stoke, as you can see. It does reach Morris. And he kept it well. Derby force a throw. So Ryan Nyambe sets himself. Didn't get that purchase that he was looking for, but he might get another go here. We did have information a few weeks ago that Nyambe, mentioning the curse that Derby seemed under with injuries last season, that he was unlikely to start this season, but here he is. Slightly better outcome from the throw. Manhoef gives chase. Bath did well. 9 clean sheets last season for Jakob Vidal Zederstorm. Keeping Stoke out so far today. Nothing by way of concern for Johansson, the opposing goalkeeper, so far. The Stoke goalkeeper who has it now. Lawal. I think everybody on that far side agreed that that ball stayed in play, but the Stoke City fans don't mind too much because they have the ball back. Hard going for Liam Thompson and Kenzo Gudmine in particular for Derby in this first half. They're having very little impact on it in the middle of the field. Confidently done by Johansson, and cleverly done by Forsyth, who steered Manoff under the ball and let it run out over his shoulder. Victor Johansson was an ever-present in goal for Stoke last season. Not a comfortable watch so far, it has to be said, for Derby County fans. Pearson. Perhaps a little over-optimistic from Chomadeo there. Forsyth with the throw. Helped on by Morris, who showed for it well, but they cannot get very far with it, can they? And the applause is from Robbins, the Stoke City coach. This is his plan, to get it to Manu, get those twinkling feet going, and it was nearly through again. It was well closed down there by Clark. Morris did really well, so good at that, Morris. New dimension for Derby potentially this season, and now the visitors do break. Johansson off his line, the goalkeeper. Jackson came across. Adams trying to thread it into the path of Jackson. Derby get this free kick. Danny Bath brought down. Zederstorm. They've deployed Matty Clark up there to try to win the first ball. Didn't work out. Really has packed a lot into his career. in admirable fashion. Carlton Morris. The long-term injury a few years ago for Morris seemed like it might limit his ambition, but none of it. He actually tore his ACL and faced into a long layoff, actually doing the damage in the playoff final, the League One playoff final of 2017-18. But the way he's not just had his knee reconstructed, but reconstructed his whole career since then is incredible. Mano, Bath did well. That was Morris. No problems jumping for it. The highlight, of course, for Morris came right at the start of Luton's first Premier League season ever. 12th of August, 25. (24-25) that was. The penalty against Brighton, Manoff. Manoff again, can't get past Clark. Derby trying to defend their box. Well, they have to defend it. Bath is up for the job. Adams perhaps looking for a free kick. Very clever there, the way he did that. Enticing Pearson in. Pearson didn't really need the second invitation. Had a little look to see if he was there. The terrier like Pearson, he just couldn't resist going for it, and just left a little bit on Adams as well to let him know he's around. Welcome to the Championship. Takes a lot more than that to stop Adams. From Pearson's point of view, of course, that lingering disciplinary doubt over his head, the worst exhibit so far in his career, that he reached 10 yellow cards before 4 months of the season 23-24 was out. Forsyth again. Back to him by Thompson. Bit more progressive. Blackett-Taylor for Derby. Put his head down and allowed the Stoke players to close in around him. Manov's in there. He goes over and he's gotten a free kick against Forsyth. Forsyth won't take a backward step, that is for sure. I think Chamadeur is well aware of it. Cresswell used all his experience, and not only did he block the runner, he got a free kick for Stoke, but they won't be allowed to take it from there. Had they put the ball down nearer to where the incident took place, they might have got away with that. Cresswell standing across the path of Jackson. Smart play by Cresswell. The ball's not in playing range anyway, but he stopped it there, and Stoke went from there to try to get playing again. Had they just rolled the ball back to nearer to the incident, maybe Wilmot might have got away with that. Pearson. Some good play on the approaches from Stoke. Some good set pieces, but in the penalty box, Derby's experienced defenders, Clark, Bath, Forsyth to the fore. They've avoided damage. Derby have it back. Morris went back. Thompson. Goldmine gets a touch or two. Bouncing ball for Pearson, not easy. Not easy coming back from the heartbreaking series of disappointments in the career of a man who's still considered a very talented coach, Mark Robins. The near misses at Coventry. Now, By's brought down. I did mention it's been a hard day's work so far in the midfield for Thompson and Galdemine, and now Thompson has a yellow card. Didn't need to do that. Puts himself and his team under that little bit more pressure again. Derby's Young Player of the Year last season. Cresswell and Thomas, the two new boys for Stoke. Cresswell takes it. Goalkeeper able to line it up. Had to wait a long time. Did it well. Adams as the Derby County captain, just debating the rights and wrongs of that from Wilmot. Part of life in the Championship, of course. These games, these are not local rivals in the strictest sense. Midland clubs with a bit of a history, as I've mentioned, but there's always edge. Bath left well alone there, and won the race. Turned it backwards to Thomas. Reverses it to Cresswell. He has time to cross it and does so. Clark is there for Derby. Morris did well to jump against Pearson, but he couldn't keep it for Derby. Cresswell. By John Hall. Wilmot. Short to Lowell. Well, Lowell went for that and didn't win it. Nice turn inside him, and here come Derby with a bit of purpose. They also wanted a free kick there, Derby. Doesn't reach Morris. Adams is still not happy that he didn't get a free kick for Derby, and now the whistle goes, but it's for Stoke. And now, again, Adams, the Derby captain, is debating that. I mean, maybe to have a word on the touchline as Morris gets the talking to here. It's bubbling just under the surface here at the moment. Elliot Bell, our referee, handling it well enough. Thomas. Tried a pretty intricate pass there, Mbomba on his feet, but it's going to be a Derby free kick where it really counts, in their own penalty box. Danny Bath is towering over Mbomba for a moment there. Clark went to win it and kept on trying to play it, and Bath told Mbomba what he thought about it. Nice little touch by Forsyth. Once more, they don't get a free kick for all their pleading there, Derby, but the captain has it back. Adams, Forsyth, now Stoke with a man down. I don't think Derby are in the mood to put the ball out of play at the moment. Lawal, the referee, does the job. Pearson won most of the ball, but at some personal cost there. So no formal drinks break with a stoppage in play. The players are all reaching for some liquids. Paul Niven is doing a lot of the talking alongside Mark Robbins for Stoke today, incidentally. The assistant who was previously at West Ham is very highly rated. May well be a very good addition to the Stoke camp here. He's walking toward us now to have a word with Mbamba, and in the last couple of weeks he's actually been given the job of looking after England's under-20s. I believe he's had a lot of success with some of the other England underage teams. He's too modest to take the praise from me. He's now walking back to the dugout, and of course he leaves his boss Robbins to patrol there normally. Pearson is on the line also, looks set to go again. Floated up there by Johansson. Chamadeu. Clark. That will be a Derby free kick, and no mistake. Adams feeling he's just righted one of the injustices, as he would see it, in his first half. The Derby skipper. And we are into stoppage time, of which there's a minimum 2 minutes. This place headed by Morris. Straight to by John Hall. Manoff, who started brightly, gave Stoke fans one or two very hopeful moments. Quick restart from the right place, and that's good all round by Stoke. Mbamba. Oh, none have had to stop for it. Mbamba got lucky. There's space for a shot. He lets go. And Zetterstrom, nice and tidy, gets everything behind it. Drifting out of play on the breeze from Danny Barth. It's been back and forth for a few minutes between those two. Clark again. Closing moments of this first half. That's where we pause. Stoke City making nearly all the running at home on the opening day of the new Championship season. Bright moments for Sorba Thomas, one of their new signings, and for Million Manoff on the other side. By missed a great chance early on. Clear-cut chances, hard to find thereafter really for all Stoke's endeavour. Derby County dug in, a very experienced defensive line, showing all their know-how in these blustery conditions. And at half-time it's Stoke City 0, Derby County 0. Welcome back, everybody, to the 365 Stadium. Stoke City set to get underway in the second half of their championship opener here against Derby County. A little exchange between Elliot Bell, the referee, and Buddy Adams, the Derby County captain. Elliot Bell has kept good control of this so far. It's bubbling up toward the edge on a couple of occasions in that first half. Stoke City made all the running but could not get the ball in the net. They have the ball to start this second half, but they might be required to go again. Johansson sent it long immediately. Derby drew a defensive line and defended it very well indeed, with players who know how to do exactly that. Clark, Bath, Forsyth to the fore. And fair protection they gave to Zetterstrom, their goalkeeper, all things considered. He did have a couple of saves to make. The early chance from By, the header, a bit too tame. The shot by Mubama near the end of that first half, also a bit too tame. But surely, from John Eustace's point of view, a bit more in the forward areas is needed here. Not many goals around across this championship fixture list on the opening weekend. Cresswell. Again, it's very comfortable for Zetterstrom. If you did miss the team news at the start, there have been, I'll make it 6 summer signings by Stoke so far during this transfer window. And we're seeing Aaron Cresswell, Ivan Mbamba in action today, along with Sorba Thomas. Derby County among their near double amount, actually, 11 signings so far. Danny Bath, Carlton Morris are the starters. There's a couple more of their signings on the bench, incidentally. And now a chance for a Derby long throw. Nicely executed, bouncing ball. Pearson had to get to that. Thompson was closing in on it. Morris backpedaling for all he's worth. Wilmot did well against him and trying to squeeze a shot through there was Caden Jackson. Reacting to the bouncing ball again, though, Stoke in good fashion. None off it was. Goes to Lowell. Ben Wilmot. They played the diagonal pretty well at times, Stoke, today, and that's a beauty. The right back got up there very well indeed, Chamadeu. Well played Clark again for Derby. And also Jackson did very well helping out. It's played in the general direction of Morris. He's looking for a free kick against Lowell there. Without success. Again, the referee Bell not taken in by that. Lowell, he tries his luck with the diagonal. That's not bad either. Thomas, who started very brightly. Madoff. Chamadale. Thomas not getting to it. I don't think Mark Robbins would like to be reminded of that stat right now. Nil-nil against Derby on the last day. There's the key game. Of course, the two preceding games really kept Stoke City fans on the edge of their seats. Niambe venturing forth for Derby. We've not seen a lot of that so far today, but that reaps a little reward. More of that needed by Derby, perhaps. They force a corner. And now you can hear from the travelling Derby fans, I think. They were a bit subdued in the first half, for understandable reasons. Kenzo Godman to take it. Big outswinger. Run through to Thomas. Tidied up by Niambe. Oh, and Forsyth not able to set himself to get that. It's Pearson for Stoke. Chamadale told to do it again. Madoff, by back to him. Aaron Cresswell. Thomas, potentially promising new pairing on that left side for Stoke this season. Still getting to know each other from the look of it. This might be worth another little look. Did it A, cross the line? Did the last touch come off the Derby player? Lowell. Cleared out everything in his path here, including Adams. Derby captain. Gordon Jackson. Seems to have picked up a yellow card for his part in all that. There was no raised boot, at least that I saw. Wilmot. Little straighter delivery from him, but it's a positive run forward from right back by Chamadale. And again, let's credit Derby for the way they defend those. Lowell. Tried to get Matchday running again. He did run hard, but oh, he's off again here. Crowd policing stuff, but not much effective result for Stoke. Cleared by Johansson. Derby not allowing Stoke to settle into their rhythm. It was a lot smoother in the early stages in the first half. Again, they've given it away, but again the whistle has gone. Free kick to Stoke. Almost as though Derby have said, right, well, let's dish up even more of it in the second half. Let's get about them, let's defend our penalty box like we mean it, and let's make sure, as here, no Stoke players allowed to settle on the ball. Lowell. Looking for Thomas. It's tight to the touchline. Did well with that, Thomas. Cresswell. Pearson. Wilmot to Lowell. One shot on the target from Derby County. Lowell's there again. He forced it down the line to Manu, but he can't keep it. Thompson. Played for a free kick and he got it. If Derby County continue in this fashion and continue to be defiant and end up with a point, maybe a lot of Derby fans will be saying, well, why doesn't John Eustace keep it pretty similar for a few weeks? But there are a lot of new faces, no doubt itching to get started. But I guess the biggest factor is just the intensity of the competition in this division. League Cup tie midweek. That will certainly give pause for reflection for both coaches, how much they want to freshen it up for that game. And then a really hard run of fixtures through the rest of August. Derby play Coventry at home, followed by Bristol City, and then they travel to Ipswich, all before the end of August. Stoke play Walsall in the League Cup here this midweek. Sheffield Wednesday away, Southampton away, and West Bromwich Albion at home in the league. But I guess they've learned their lesson after that injury pile-up last season, Derby. They will say that we have restarted with that in mind, and quite right too. Matchday running hard again. Clark on the free kick this time against Obama. It's a lovely ball floated over the top of the head of Craig Forsyth there by Wilmot. I mentioned that Wilmot and Lowell have been known to play in different positions slightly further forward, and they're showing that really in their distribution today for Stoke. Forsyth, that is Wilmot's head, and it's a Derby ball. Still Derby waiting to make any kind of dent in Stoke City. Forsyth with the throw. Godmine. Bath. The young man. Shut down well by Thomas. Thompson laid it off. Clark played a decent ball. Morris laid it off nicely. Possibilities now for Derby County. The visiting fans are becoming a little bit more vocal out top right as you now look. Derby attack that side and they score! Morris does it again! Another special debut goal, this time for Derby County. They've defended and defended. They've been unable to open Stoke up, but finally a chance comes and Carlton Morris made sure he took it. Welcome to Derby. Once or twice in the first half, early on Blackett-Taylor got down the line well. Morris has a lot to do there. It's a brilliant finish. Wilmot seemed the favourite, but he couldn't get to it. Morris reacted more quickly. And he adjusted, and it bounced over the top of Johansson's outstretched right arm. So that's another debut goal for which he'll always be remembered by supporters, this time at Derby County. And if they defended determinedly for the first part of this game, what now for Derby? Every incentive to keep it up as we head into the final third. And Derby have got the free kick. And the breathing space. There's a lot of noise, not much action in the shot there. That's because all the noise is coming from away to our right. The Derby County fans saluting Morris and his goal. Eustace will know, still a long way to go. Robbins and Nevin maybe debating what they need to put right here in terms of the personnel on the field. A lot of good play, but not much really penetrating work in the opposition penalty box or close to it. But I will see that off. So Carlton Morris justifying Derby's decision to bring him in. Remember Jerry Yates, who today made a debut for Luton Town, ironically. He got the goals last season, which made all the difference. Morris has come from Luton and starts in the ideal fashion. The score of Luton's first Premier League goal back in 23-24. We've got 11 in total. Manoff. Look at it, Thomas. It's a great ball this time. Thomas, another new face. Side netting only for him. Derby breathe again. Manoff looking to make a meaningful contribution. He can't do better than that, really, can he? But Thomas going the long way around the goalkeeper, and the angle got tighter and tighter. Soderstrom had to come for it. Manoff again. Aaron Cresswell. It's a corner off Jackson. Derby all on their toes, it's flat and it's easy to defend. Reynolds. Run into the traffic. The policeman on patrol was Matty Clark, and he just barred the way. Barricading themselves at times in here, Derby, but defending their penalty box quite admirably. Cresswell. Pearson. Thomas. That's no problem for Bath this time. Barry doing his best to get the other side of Bath. Bath wasn't for having that. It's Derby who are going to make the first change here. David Ozzo is going to come on. Another whose progress has been interrupted by injury. Godmine goes off, Kensal Godmine. It's a second season on loan from Crystal Palace for Ozzo. Straight into midfield, and from what we're looking at right now, he's been told, it seems, you go and followed by, and following tight. He's latching onto him again now. So what's in store here for Mark Robbins? Not overblessed with strikers on his bench today. The Stoke new boys, Robert Bojenik, no doubt desperate to get on there. He is on the bench. We have the 19-year-old Favour Fawunmi in reserve. Pearson. Still plenty of time for Stoke to work out how to get something out of this game. Thomas. Reversed it. Beauty, 1-1. What a strike. Just what they needed. Baker has done it for Stoke. A high-quality strike. A high-value strike on the opening day. They cannot work their way into this penalty box. They've been trying and trying all day long. So Baker said, right, well, I'll do it from outside. Brilliant strike. Fed by Thomas. A little moment of quality from Lewis Baker on the opening day to level it here at 1-1. They were mighty glad to get him back from Blackburn with the season on the line. Last season they recalled him from his loan spell there. And as if to prove that he means to be a factor, a player of immense promise in his Chelsea days, of course, loaned out 8 times by Chelsea. But back here now, what a great start to the new season for him. I think we're in for a rip-roaring last 20 minutes now. Thompson down for Derby, and there is a Stoke player down as well. That got nearly everybody off its feet, the goal by Baker. Quite a convenient moment, really, in this second half for a drinks break. Goals change games. It was drifting along. Derby were not producing much threat. Bit busier second half, perhaps. Stoke not able to find the finesse to break through. Morris got a chance. Only a question of time that Carlton Morris would get a chance. He took it brilliantly. Derby in front, and having failed to make the impact in the box, from outside the box, Lewis Baker replies for Stoke. Osen Lowell looks set to continue in a moment. Nonetheless, Robbins is about to make a double change now. So Phillips and Donnelly are the players coming on. Jamie Donnelly, the 20-year-old, into Leyton Orient last season from Tottenham. Oh, Ashley Phillips, also 20, also on loan from Tottenham. Manoff is withdrawn. You don't need to tell me what he thinks about that. And actually Lowell is now making his way off. To quite a big hand, actually. So they're not taking any risks with Bosa Lowell. I mentioned his misfortunes with injuries. He doesn't do panic, Forsyth, does he? Still, big round of applause for Lawal. There's Clark, who's been so good for Derby so far today. Slightly brighter proposition, Derby going forward, slightly narrowing the possession gap. Here's Cresswell for Stoke. Bay. Now it looks like Thomas has gone out to the right flank with Midland Moho brought off by Mark Robbins, and he's told Bay to come and play off this left flank for Stoke. Robbins checking the watch. Certainly these tweaks tactically, nobody can say at the end of it, well, he didn't give it enough time. Cresswell. Wilmot. Donnelly involved immediately. Thomas crosses. Clark is there yet again. Phillips gets a touch or two as well. Phillips doesn't trouble Clark with that one. Thomas, the player that Mark Robbins shifted over to that right side just a couple of minutes ago. That's going to test Phillips out a little bit, I think. Infield by Forsyth. Via Clark it goes to Bath. Wilmot. Ball and man arriving at the same instant, really. The man in question being Johnson. We can't see for sure from our angle, really, whether Wilmot was out of control or whether his boot was that high. Nonetheless, there is a price to pay for that. Jackson himself on a yellow, of course. Couple more changes in the offing for Derby. Corey Blackett, Taylor. Just nursing that right hamstring a little bit. Here's the most telling contribution of the day. Little ball looked into his path. Phillips raced against him. But his most telling contribution, of course, the assist for the goal by Morris. So on we go with Thompson's free kick, and it wasn't a bad one, and Clark in time to go for it. What a challenge by both him and Phillips. No risks being taken, and it gives Andreas Weimann the chance to make a derby debut today. Only 4 now, Weimann. Back at Derby County for the second time in his career. He played there between 2015 and 18. Another player well known and trusted by John Eustace with his Blackburn connections. 7 goals for Blackburn last season. Freshman. Barry. With the confidence of a goal in the bank already, Baker beginning to run the show just a little bit in the middle of the park. That wasn't bad. Chamadeo again with the throttle out, running forward, but unlikely to get to that one by Thomas. Strong. Phillips wants to win it against Morris. Got to win the duel from here over this last 10 minutes plus. Chamadeo. November couldn't get to the ball. It's a brilliant piece of work again by Clark. That's not bad from Derby. That's a free kick to Derby. Foul by Phillips, and Wilmot was in a little bit of jeopardy anyway. Remember, Wilmot's on a yellow card. I must excuse and beg Phillips' pardon, it was all Wilmot. But that is Weimann to a T. And this is a very promising position now. And Pearson is now down. He too feeling a hamstring. And not moving very well, Ben Pearson for Stoke. I will say, he's the kind of player you have to tell to come off. He will not come off of his own volition, I don't think. Has to come off. So Seko is the replacement. Katsuki Seko. One newcomer's got a goal already. Carlton Morris. He wasn't far away from another. Feynman won the free kick. Seemed very confident, lining it up. Hansen out of play. Here's Niambe with the throw for Derby. Overall, a little bit more positive, perhaps, second half Derby. Niambe. I didn't win it. Derby positive again, forcing a corner now. Good work by Ozo. Baker having to do his bit defensively. Goes on guard duty on that near post. That's a little ploy by Derby. It's all the way out the back. I don't think it's going to quite work out the way they may have worked on it in training. Next job is to try to make something out of it. Clark backpedaling. Well played, Johansson. Quick release by the Stoke goalkeeper. Baker. Derby still trying to regroup a little bit, but Stoke don't go forward with it. Seko. Sideways by him as well to Cresswell. Baker. That's more positive. Shamadeu. Oh, magnificent stop. The words, goal of the day, were forming. Söderström denies him. Could he possibly have hit that any more cleanly? Great save. First Baker from distance, now they're all trying it. Sun is blazing out of the sky on this August Saturday afternoon here at Stoke, and the action is getting hotter and hotter in the final few minutes. Near post. Derby ready to defend it, but are Derby ready to counter-attack? They bashed the ball away. If they'd have kept that, who knows what was on. Bath is there. Foul on Jackson again. Seko pleads his case. He's looking up, hopefully, as if to say, please don't give me a yellow card. Commitment from Jackson. Feet were up both ways. Well, that was one to remember the day by Söderström, the goalkeeper. He floats it in there. I think the idea there was to try and get Thomas chasing something. Not a bad idea at this stage. Not a bad trip home if they've got a point for the Derby fans on this opening day. Clark again. Is he in trouble here, I wonder? Gets away with it. So into stoppage time, minimum of 8 minutes. Wilmot. Oral Cresswell to Phillips. Ashley Phillips again. It's a corner. A key weapon today, most certainly, those diagonal passes from the centre-backs, Wilmot in particular. Can he get this right, Thomas? Here it comes. Clark is there again. Cresswell. Chamadeo. Chamadeo again, close attention there from Weidman, but he couldn't get the touch on it. It's helped into the box further for Stoke by Wilmot. Nicely tidied up by Ozo. That's very good indeed. And Weidman, ooh, the experience and all that, and he let the ball run out of play. So we can't say definitively whether he can still move as quickly as in former years, but I think that was the idea there, to get on it and run with it, and that's not a bad idea, but Thomas has used it well the other way. Donnelly. Thomas continuing to drive Stoke forward. Out of play. Baker asking Mubamba to give Clark something to think about. So another of the Derby new boys is going to get a first day touch or two. A little taste of it for Dion Sanderson. Arrived this week from Blackburn Rovers to play again under John Eustace. Actually the 4th time in his career. Jackson off. Three centre-backs for Derby for these last few moments. System they used a lot last season, I'm told. different three individuals, of course, here. That's Alderson on. Seko, good-looking cross. What a way for Mbamba to crown his debut. They've waited and waited for him in this game to do something special. He steered the header past Zetterstrom, very likely to win it for Stoke City now. That's a painful one for Derby to take. They send on an extra centre-back, and immediately, from a cross ball, Stoke score and maybe take all the points. Thomas reversed it. Seko, so much time, nobody got out to him. It's a very good-looking ball. Mbamba stood his ground, timed his jump, and executed so well. It couldn't have been any closer to perfection, that header. One 0 down to 2-1 up. That's what it feels like on the opening day. The timing was indeed very good. Derby have not got long at all to rescue this. Again, good work by Seko, and this time into the space will do. Wilmot did enough, just enough. Same again, really, on repeat. This time from Cresswell into the space, and if Mbamba can get on the end of it, so much better. He was almost a spectator for a lot of this game, but he might end up being the hero. A debut goal first for Carlton Morris. That had Derby County in front. A brilliant strike from Baker to level it for Stoke. And very late indeed on his debut, Divine Mbamba gets it all right. Feeling the effects of his exertions quite clearly. Chamadeu, who also produced a quite brilliant strike, which was clawed away by Zetterstrom. Zetterstrom could do nothing for the goal. That falls nicely for Donnelly. He couldn't go and get one on his debut, could he? He squares it to Thomas, and he does get a debut goal as well. It's all turned out very nicely indeed for Stoke City. 2 of their 3 debutants score. Stoke claim all the points. They polished off Derby County in stoppage time in good style. It might have been Donnelly's debut goal, but instead he squared it for Thomas. And he made sure of the goal and sure of the victory. Mbamba got to his feet just in time to be a nuisance again. Donnelly did that really well. Drew Clark across, stayed composed. Yes, he did have a little look for Thomas. Perfect delivery. And Sorba Thomas, who's been energy personified today on his debut, gets a reward for a lot of hard work and a lot of belief when Stoke City were behind. He helped keep Stoke going. And he's still going. Stoke City have won it. A game that they seemed set to lose when Carlton Morris on his debut set the theme of the day by putting Derby in front. But the debutants for Stoke City, after Lewis Baker replied with a beauty from distance. Mbamba first, and then Sorba Thomas. They've celebrated and cheered up here at the Bet365 Stadium. They got the goals to turn it Stoke's way. Stoke City claim all the 3 points at the end of it. They started the brighter side. Derby defended and little else in the first half, quite honestly. They did much better in the second period, but when they had to defend late on, they could not do it. And the smiles belong to Stoke City here on the opening Saturday of the season. Stoke City 3, Derby County 1.